Hello and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Dave Lees.
And I'm Jonathan Byer. Hi.
Hi, happy Thanksgiving. This is This and That, where we are going to discuss everything to preview for the upcoming ISU Grand Prix final on the junior and senior level, and also some news and views for things that are going on in the skating world, on Instagram, with Alexei Yagudin, and in the Skate Canada Challenge this week. So, hi, Jonathan. How was your Thanksgiving in Hong Kong?
Hi, Dave. I found an American diner, and I had, steamed turkey.
Okay.
It was good.
Can I tell you? So, my sister's in-laws are very Italian, or Italian, as my grandmother would have said from back in the day. And I enjoy an Italian food, right? I enjoy a meatball, I enjoy a lasagna roll. And my sister's father-in-law makes lasagna rolls that we have before the turkey. And then he always wants you to have seconds, and he used to work in a restaurant.
I know, it's a feederism culture. It's terrible.
Well, it's really good, and then I find that I don't really want the turkey. So I really wasn't super into the turkey this year. But I took a nice nap. I went Black Friday shopping.
Oh, did you get anything good?
Yeah, I got this new sweater.
Oh, yes, it's very nice. It's very Dave Lees. It's very, in line.
Yeah. We all get presents for one another when we are at the mall every year. So there are no surprises, but I enjoy that we get what we really want. So it works out for us. But I felt like we had a surprise party for my mother today, so we've been very busy. And yesterday, I think I mentioned that I inherited about 300 VHS tapes. So
is that all?
I was told there were 250, so I bought 5 legacy boxes to send them off to get digitized. And I was writing down and making a spreadsheet of what is on what VHS tape for when they come back, because they have barcodes. I have to say my back is hurting. It was bothering me when I was skating the other day. And sure enough, working on those VHS tapes, let me tell you, quite the Herculean effort, but it felt cleansing to send them off.
Okay.
And I said, I don't want the VHS tapes back because the company likes to send them back to you. I'm like, donate them to the museum, okay?
Yeah, exactly. To anyone who still owns a VCR.
Excuse me. They need it's almost every broadcast ever. So
amazing. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm very excited. There's Canadian footage, all sorts of stuff. So
all the fluff pieces. That's what's been missing. Yeah.
Oh yes. So you'll be seeing a lot more content in the coming weeks. So, but let's talk about the Grand Prix final because it's coming up. We've been on this journey, Jonathan, because it's the junior final and the senior. So it's been 3 months of a journey.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah. How are you feeling about the Grand Prix final? What are you most excited about?
Well, I mean, it's fascinating who's there and who isn't in some ways. Because we were talking about at NHK, there's a couple of the disciplines where obviously there are some pretty clear placements. Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of our winners are sort of predetermined, not in a fixed judging sort of way, just in a clear inherent difference in ability. Yeah. But for me, it's going to be a lot of bronze medal races where sort of this 3-4 range that I'll be most intrigued to see when they're really all back to back, where the scores kind of throw them. I know we talk about this, about not comparing scores event to event. However, I think in this particular Grand Prix series, especially for something like dance, everyone is hyper aware of what scored previously, unlike before. Phil Hirsch was saying something. Yeah, I think every girl is very aware, especially in the ladies, who scored what at which event. Yes. So I think there definitely has been a numbers game playing out even before we get to the final. A lot of jockeying.
Oh, so. Absolutely. And it's hard because the callers are different from event to event. Sometimes they are giving the Russians edge calls. Sometimes they're not after federations write letters. But, we have seen some tough callers. I think we have an idea, a pretty good idea of where everyone is going to wind up throughout. And there's always feelings about those who get 7, 8, 9. It's a raw deal on the Grand Prix from time to time. And it's always, I think, difficult for those that finish 7th, and there's tiebreakers, and it's, not an exact science. There's no real fair way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, because like on this one, especially for the ladies, like the fact that Mariah was 2 bronzes compared to Bradie's 2 and 4, and Satoko's 2 and 4, there's like a big chunk on the cusp there.
Yes.
So it does feel a little funny, again, because those on the cusp are quite far away, in my opinion, from any sort of medal contention. But they still kind of all deserve to have at it against each other, because that would have almost been a more interesting competition for me, to see where some of the second-tier skaters, second-tier only, placement-wise, where they would have ended up against one another.
Yeah, so. And I always find that there are often a lot of skaters. I find like there's always American men that are in the 7, 8, 9 every year. It always feels like that, or maybe we just remember them. I think Jason's been in that 7, 8, 9 place before. It's a tough place to be. It means that they're a good skater, and they had maybe one good event and the other one not so great. There's been a lot of times that people just wind up on that chopping block.
Right.
But let's discuss. I actually think that one of the events I'm looking forward to the most is the junior ladies final at the Grand Prix final. This is fascinating to me. And it's actually, people are going to say, well, you're American. And actually, I'm most excited to see how Hyein Lee will be scored for components and how she will compete against Alyssa Liu, Kamila Valieva, Daria Usashova, Ksenia Sinitsina, and Victoria Vasilieva. And I'll kind of break down what I'm feeling, and you can say what you're feeling.
Totally.
My thoughts are this. I think that Hyein Lee has the best skating skills there, along with Kamila Valieva. I think Hyein Lee probably has the best programs, especially in the free skate. I feel Kamila has a great short program. It was a little bit better last year, but I think overall she's a beautiful short program. The free is okay. I think she's had like slight injuries since we saw her.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if we had heard anything about that. There was that kind of rumor mill going around concrete. That she may have been off ice. Okay.
But as far as we know, she will be competing, and that will be fascinating to see how many quads she does, what her content is like. The thing is that these juniors qualified 2 months ago to this final.
I was just thinking, it's got to feel so weird because so many of them were building so much momentum that I think that now all of a sudden we're back to first competition jitters potentially again.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Or have they been maintaining, like, are they running programs for this time? How much did they let back? I mean, there's different strategy, right? To let yourself down, to get back up for this final. It's a strange season for the way to peak for juniors. And I think we saw they are young, so many of them can do more competitions. We saw Daria Usashova compete at the Dennis 10 Memorial. That was actually a good event for her after some rougher free skates on the junior.
Yeah, because she left the Grand Prix sort of like a I guess she's in the mix sort of idea. I didn't really view her as a front runner, but then having skated well. Yeah, at that event, you're like, well, maybe she's up and running now.
I remember that Mary Lee Tracy once talked about a gymnast, Sierra Sapinar, and she said, I have to compete her a lot. And I believe she was comparing her to someone else. There are some athletes that kind of get better in a slow and steady way, right? Where they have to fight through the nerves and have to work through it. I think we've seen that with Deanna Salato over the years in pairs and singles, especially. She's someone where you compete her a lot and she gets better. Some people, like a Nathan Chen, right out of the gate, they're ready, rip, raring to go. Bada bing, bada boom. They're a competitor. So, granted, if you're not the most natural competitor, I do think that at the end of the day, it may be a disadvantage. But if she does keep getting better and adjusting to each level, I think she'll have certainly a good shot here. They've certainly had a lot of focus getting ready for the final, and I know that they certainly, in the Russian media, do talk about Alyssa Liu a lot. More than I've heard or read Hyein Lee be mentioned. She doesn't do the quads like Alyssa does, but I do think she's potentially the most complete skater. And she's the most pleasing to watch for me. But Alyssa's advantage will, of course, be if she does that triple axel in the short. We're finding it in the ladies also because they're not allowing those quads. The triple axel
carriers are able to maybe move ahead in the short a bit more. So I'm sure that's why she's more of a threat than she might be otherwise.
Yeah, and if someone is injured or someone makes a mistake on a quad or triple axel and it affects the rest of the program, someone like Hanyu can really move in there and capitalize. So I expect to see her on the medal podium. I'm not sure in what place, but I'm curious to see how Alyssa will do. Alyssa Liu is certainly carrying around a lot of pressure and expectation. She's been to 2 events. She did an exhibition at Skate America. She certainly has a lot of buzz, expected to potentially defend her national title. So she's dealing in a little bit of a different situation. We're seeing more and more pressure on her. It's no longer that she has nothing to lose. There's, I wouldn't, maybe not the word expectation, but there's certainly all eyes on her, waiting to see how she will do.
Because I think they know, I mean, even on the Junior Grand Prix earlier, the judges aren't really helping her out in PCS. I mean, they're still sort of letting her know where they kind of put her. Like, I feel a lot of these girls will outscore her that way.
I mean, I think having not seen her skate in 2 months, I think that there's work to be done, especially compared to a Hanyu Lee. And I think that Kamila Valieva would also have a advantage. Daria Usashova actually can skate very beautifully. I don't think her program is necessarily structured. I think that she could really have kind of a Kostornaia breakout short program. There's a certain special quality in her that I noticed that there's like almost like a John Nix girl inside waiting to come out.
Yeah, she kind of sticks out in a way in that crop that she can say something. She just hasn't quite yet.
Yeah, I notice with the extension, the way that she moves into and out of that double axel, you could tell there's like a John Nix skater. I was watching the Naomi Narinam novice exhibition earlier today, and it wasn't about the jumps. It was about the way she could do her spread eagle to the spiral to the beautiful layback spin, and like that was a star. That was a girl who could do pairs. Who could do Daria has a little something. She's not doing the Kamila quad yet, but there's something about her that I'm curious about. Not the best competitor so far, and I'm curious to see, Ksenia Sinitsina, Victoria Vasilieva, will they do well and wind up moving to Sambo 70? Because it does seem like that's certainly what happened with Alena Ganisheva last year before she was injured. So we don't know if she's, will be competing again soon, but I'm curious if, what happens within Russia outside, because it certainly is the place to go to get results. So I'll be curious to see what happens on it.
And again, depending on what happens with the 3 we have currently in the seniors, this could be the crop we're pulling from. This could be our Olympic preview, all these ladies.
Absolutely. And 2 years away from the Olympics, you have to think in 2012, Yulia was competing against Gracie Gold at the World Junior Championship. So this is a potentially important competition. At the World Juniors, Yulia was first and Gracie Gold was second. And sure enough, 2 years later, at the Olympic team event, Yulia was first and Gracie was second. So Nikova, I think, maybe was the bronze on that podium. I forget. I believe. I would have to check, but she was certainly in the mix there as well. So these are important skaters to be looking at beyond just
absolutely.
These are people that are going to be peaked for the right time. And it'll be interesting to watch their continued development. So, and they all have strengths and weaknesses. I think Alyssa, her strength is really her competitive mind. And it seems so far that she hasn't succumbed to the nerves. But this is next level.
Yeah, she's not been up against a field like this yet.
Yeah.
So this will be very telling.
And I'm sure there's been a lot of, she hears the talk like everyone else. She's human.
Right.
So,
right.
I think in the men's event, it's an interesting competition to kind of watch pan out. 2 great Japanese skaters, Yuma Kageyama, Shun Sato, Demil Samsonov, Peter
That's my
Gomenek,
favorite.
Andrei Mozelev, and then Daniel Grossel from Italy. So that's a solid men's competition to watch.
I just can't believe we're going to see that Daniel Grossel program again. that nutty long program. I think for me, the strangest program of the season.
So in the pairs, we've got 5 Russians and a German team. Obviously, I think Panfilova and Rylov are probably the favorites. The one thing that's interesting is that Annika Hawk went to the Olympics when she skated with Ruben Blomert, and now she's at the Junior Grand Prix final. That's not the normal progression, but
exactly.
It happens, and it's good exposure for them, and it's a good opportunity for international points and experience. So, interesting to see how they will do. Certainly has that advantage in terms of experience, having been to the Olympics, but I'll be interested to see. But I think in the dance event, all eyes are on Avon Lee Nguyen and Vadim Kolesnik. Will they take home?
I think this has got to be like a landslide victory, don't you think?
I mean, it should be if they skate well. I feel like how the Brits, I'm remembering when Charlie White, wiped out on Twizzles. So don't count your chickens before they hatch, but this is their moment, okay? This is their Jamie Silverstein and Justin Pekarik moment. We're going to go out there. I posted that video too when they did their Bach program at the Junior Grand Prix final, and they blew everyone away, and this team reminds me of them so much. So I'm curious. I'm excited to watch it. Diana Davis and Gleb Smolkin skating to the Aristocrats, so I'm ready to go.
Given all the sass. Yeah, exactly.
All the sass to the Aristocats. So I'm ready for it. I think I said Aristocrats first, but Aristocats,
Okay.
Everybody wants to be a cat, Jonathan.
That's right. Even Paulina Edmonds.
She really did.
In her own way. Yeah.
Poor Paulina. You know what? She was making a pie for Thanksgiving the other day, and I was living for it. The pie's done. All right. She said she was looking hot.
Yeah.
On her
exactly.
Instagram. That skating has gotten her in great shape for Thanksgiving. Her legs were looking like, All right, let's talk about the senior men at this event.
Yes,
I think it's the top 2 and everybody else.
Everybody else, and I think now, I think this is very clearly Hanyu's to lose, and I think, and again, it was an interesting conversation we were having at the NHK recap in who's choosing to peak when. I feel like they're almost, obviously not, they're almost in a room, and Nathan's like, you take the Grand Prix final, I'll take World. It's like they're divvying up prizes, because I feel, because of Nathan's content, if he were to skate it at his highest quality, it can just get more points, but he doesn't seem to be skating to that level at the moment, and Hanyu is really doing beautifully at the moment. So I feel like this is going to be almost impossible for Nathan if Hanyu really shows up here. And I think that it will be interesting because it'll be the first time Nathan's lost since the Olympics, if that's the case.
So, knowing someone that I do that is skating in a show was in the facility where Nathan trains with Raphael. And Nathan actually spent about 10 days with Raphael recently and was doing classes online through Yale and was certainly working hard and improving. Nathan had spent a lot of time working by himself before his first 2 Grand Prix events. So I don't think he is conceding the final to Yuzuru Hanyu by any means, which I think makes it far more exciting if he is showing up, having trained with Raphael and really putting his best foot forward. I'm excited for a competition. I would still give the edge to Yuzuru Hanyu. I think he's certainly peaking confident right now, but I'm excited to see Nathan go out. He seems to do his best when he needs to deliver. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can deliver here.
Yeah, because it's interesting. I was going back and watching some other programs of Nathan's, and he really can, we were talking about the ride out of the jumps this season. And
we were, or Doug Ha was, because he wants it brought up.
But it's not like it's a constant Nathan epidemic. Do you know what I mean? He's just recently, both on this Grand Prix and the Grand Prix last season, just had sort of a scrappier kind of quality to the jumps. But this may give him the motivation to sort of up the game. I don't know, it will be really interesting to see how, in anticipation of this showdown, he prepared differently.
Yeah. I'm sure that they are attacking it. If he does do his quad lutzes, that's certainly a huge advantage. Remember, he did not skate particularly great the last time we saw him. So I'm curious to see what Nathan will do for the final. He did certainly improve last year at the final compared to his second Grand Prix assignment. So, ready. And I'm looking at the men's field. Is Samarin the bronze medalist? Will Aliyev sneak in there? Or what about Jinbo Yang? I feel like Jinbo Yang is the dark horse for this season.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, Samarin could really throw a wrench in things because of that. The combo in the short program, it's like really one of the most exquisite quad combos I've ever seen. And when he hits, like, man,
the best
are those excellent.
By far.
Yeah, I mean, but now it's interesting because we saw Aliyev kind of pulling out the quad lutz in the short until he took it out. So I'm curious if he's even going to plan that for his short.
I mean, I think he needs to do it here if he wants to be relevant in this event. I think he needs to do it.
Yeah.
It's the time.
So I didn't know if that was a temporary water down, or if that's like how they're going to play their strategy for the short program here on out.
So let's be real. He's certainly in no danger of finishing first or second here. So I don't think that the pressure is on him to win, right? I would think he should go for it because what's the worst that's going to happen? I don't see him losing to Kevin Amos by...
Right. Exactly.
I think Kevin is great. Love watching Kevin, but I don't think he's fighting for a podium.
That's a particularly scrappy jump technique, a very French jump technique.
Yeah.
But a great performer through and through.
Yeah, so I don't see
quintessential French. Yeah.
I don't see Kevin getting on the podium, so I think Aliyev should go for broke, and Jinbo Yang has been so up and down that I think it's Dimitri's time, because to think about it, Dimitri and Alexander Samarin, you know, they're facing off here, and then they're going to face off in about 2 more weeks at Russian Nationals.
I know, crazy their schedule. Yeah,
right, and the momentum that they generated this event, as well as the favor with the judges and impression, it all factors in when we see what happened. Remember last year, Shcherbakova had a really rough junior Grand Prix final, and got her act together, came out with a vengeance at Russian Nationals, and won the whole thing in a surprise. So what happens here, it does impact Russian Nationals. It's certainly the time for him to go out. I would put that quad lutz in if I were his coach. If he can do it. I think it's...
Well, it seemed so promising early in the season when he was in Bratislava, or whatever the Nepola trophy was, and then at Skate America it seemed pretty solid. So... yeah, so I'll be curious, but I'm telling you, man, the summer and the only thing Aliyev would sort of help solidify his thing again. I wish he would just maximize his spin points a little bit more, because I feel like he could accidentally throw away some points that would make a big difference on stuff like that. But I would much rather see. I know I do like my funny shtick about liking his skating, but it really is so much more beautiful than Samarin's. So that I hope that the PCS also reflects that.
And I guess we can talk about it anywhere here, but let's break down about Alexei Yagudin with Jason Brown. We didn't touch on it on last week's show because at the time we were filming, we didn't have a full translation of what he actually had said. And you know, sometimes when ever fans don't like to hear that one of their former favorites said something, they will certainly say, you don't have a full translation, it's lost in translation.
Which is a thing sometimes. I believe that tone is hard to translate, but this was pretty clear.
This was pretty good. And you know what it is that I debated making a video on it, and it wound up being a very busy week. And I debated if it's just going to bring more attention to the negative things that he said, and then, because some fans will rally behind him, although there has been a petition even by the Russian fans to get him off of the air. Trusova did defend him and said he's very professional. Here's the thing. is that I think sometimes people even don't understand when we talk about Jason. Someone said, you don't like Jason, and I said, that's not actually true. He's probably one of my favorite skaters to watch. I just don't think that he's competitive. There's two different things, right? Like, I think that Jason has the best skating skills, is such a joy to watch when he did well. That short program at Skate America.
Beautiful spins.
Had errors, but it was like, so just the movement quality was so great. And then the free skate. You know, Yugudin was saying some really nasty things about him, and Yugudin, it wasn't just that he said it on air. Sometimes people can say things on air, and then it comes out in a certain way that they didn't intend, or it's harsher than they meant. He's had a persistent quality where he was, I think, at the first event attacking Jason and then really doubling down, congratulating Voronov for pushing Jason out of the final, and then liking and replying on Instagram to some really nasty comments. It's not a good look. I don't know what's acceptable in what culture, but I feel like with Alexei there has been always a darkness around him, and it seemed like Trusova really babied him a lot. We have to remember that he was kicked off of tours when he was a skater for not just drunken behavior, but also for physically assaulting female skaters, and I just think that how we view him, you know, I choose to view Alexei Yugudin skating the Gladiator program, skating the Winter program wonderfully.
Yeah, it's this thing that happens in skating where it's like, how much are we separating? Well, in all art, do you know what I mean? Right down to, are we listening to Michael Jackson songs or not? You know what I mean? Like, you kind of either are choosing to separate the person and the talent, but at this point, that talent isn't predominant. It's this kind of commentary, and I couldn't tell if this was because Jason beat Dmitry at Skate America, so it was like a Russian thing, and Voronov beating Jason was like a Russia-US thing. But there really seems to be an anti. I can't.
You know, there are people that toured with Alexei who have things to say about that. You know, so it's all interesting. I'm choosing my words very carefully. So
we knew some male officials and judges that knew Alexei used to play a game too. You know what I mean? So I don't know what the deal is there.
Yeah, it's. Look, there are a lot of people that can say a lot of things. So, streets have talked about that for a long time. I think Alexei has his own things to work through and work on, and I don't think it was appropriate or a good look. And I think
no. And that's our official statement.
People will want us to say more, and it's like, woo.
Yeah.
Not our place, but
it doesn't, there's no place for it. There's no need for it, you know, like, yeah.
That's...
Now it's normally when I take like a drink of something. Here, right, let me just have some water. Cheers, Dave.
Choosing very carefully, but...
Yeah.
You know when someone writes you a really nasty, a really problematic Instagram? I remember Jenny had always taught me to write back with, "I hope you're having a great week." And
Namaste, yeah.
With Alexei, I think that's what Jason should comment back. "Hi, Alexei. I hope you're having a great week." And just because it's all about his comments are indicative of his own
struggles.
So
he struggles. Yeah.
In the ladies' event, I think this will be obviously a very anticipated competition.
Bloodbath
Between the top four, being Alena Kostornaia, Alexandra Trusova, Anna Shcherbakova, and Rika Kihira. This is going to be a bloodbath of all bloodbaths. Will there be a sweep by the Russian ladies? They're certainly primed to do so. Will Rika be the spoiler? She is certainly capable of getting on that podium and competing.
She'll need help, to quote all those cheesy commentators. But here's the thing:
she'll need help to medal or need help to win. What is your take?
I think she needs help to medal, because here's the thing. Again, because of the triple axel, she can really maximize some points in the short. The question, of course, is she also doing the loop in the short still? Because, where every little point is going to count here. But she has to make, big strides in the short in order to make up for the rest. We saw the placeholder for the quad Saukow at NHK. I don't know where she's at with that. Although I would like to just pop in the moment here that I think the most beautiful quad I have ever seen in ladies skating was that Elizaveta practice footage. That is the kind of ladies quad I have been waiting for. And we've talked about it on the show before. We're like, how are these girls landing these quads? And they don't seem to...
it was the best quad I've ever seen in ladies skating. One of the best quads.
I was like, I was like, if these girls were jumping quads that look like that, I would be jumping out of my seat every time.
No, this is something she's been working on for a long time. She didn't just learn it in the last couple of weeks. When you learn a triple axel, the quad toe is something that is right there ready to go. I'm wondering, will she do it in Zagreb? And if she does it in Zagreb, should she do one quad toe or two? Will there be a skate off for Worlds? All of this stuff that could happen throughout the rest of the season. I'm wondering how much we'll see her do these quad toe. I think she should certainly
because the GOE on that thing through the roof. It was so stunning. And I know it's just practice footage, but we know her style. Like, when she just popped that triple axel in that one season out of nowhere, suddenly it was there nonstop in both programs. Like, I don't know. It could be very exciting. It's a game changer. She had to do it.
We saw Trusova land the triple axel, and to me, Trusova's triple axel did not look like she had done it a million times. Tuktumisheva's quad toe looked like it was ready to go in the program. And that's always kind of the quandary. When do you show something on Instagram? Do you show it when you've landed it to show that you can land it because then everyone wants to see it? Or do you show it when it's ready to go in? And I think Tuktumisheva was...
It's a brief preview of what's really about to happen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think momentum of that. Whereas everyone's like, oh, Trusova's got the triple axel, but I was more aware in that footage, this felt like they got the one that she landed that day, or it didn't seem secure or as special when we talk about
it. It wasn't a great landing on her triple axel, right? I mean, the fact that she can do it is impressive. I think this is certainly I think Trusova can will herself to master the triple axel by the end of the season. I don't necessarily think that she should put it in at the Grand Prix final unless it's ready to go. Although...
because that's how she could really lose that medal. If she really went for broke and it didn't work, this would be...
I know that there were some people that were upset that she showed to do it then because it was Kostornaia's moment. But with these skaters, it all moves so quickly. If she did it the next day, would people still be upset that it was interrupting a world record? Or, I mean, things move so quickly. And I don't know the pecking order and the politics behind that. If she was trying to kill Kostornaia's moment. Look, these young ladies...
No, she was trying to be a part of that conversation as it was happening. I think it was totally acceptable. Competitive timing.
They're all competitive. They are all jockeying for position.
They're competition.
They're friends with their competitors, and they are there to make a statement. So if someone is going to go out and put a score, you want to say, hey, don't forget about me. I have a triple axel too. So
totally.
I get it. It's fine. It is what it is. Shcherbakova's been talking about putting in the quad flip. Well, we see that at the final. These practice sessions are going to be very, very interesting because for these skaters, I think it's almost a dry run before Russian nationals, right? They have to secure their spots for the Europeans, and I would imagine how they do here is going to impact that quite a bit.
Because do you think Rika was watering down her NHK content so she could really rev it up now?
I know that Rika has had some injuries. We haven't seen Rika do the Lutz. The Russians say it's because of her edge on the Lutz. There were fans that were saying her edge is just too deep. She's twisting her ankle too much. That these didn't seem like fans who skate to me. Because she does get a very deep edge before she's going on that triple axel. It's forwards rather than backwards, but it's the same ankle. I think I'm curious if they're, what the strategy is with Rika. Are they this worried about the Grand Prix final? Is it about the long game with Worlds? I imagine they're going...
Yeah, do you concede this and stay healthy and slow and steady?
So I imagine that they anticipated that this would be a harder season for Rika than last year. She did win almost everything except for Worlds, and I'm certainly thinking that stung, but they were already working on the quad toe and the quad salchow, and I'm sure they thought those elements would be perhaps in the program by now, and they're not.
Right.
For, whatever reason. I'm sure in the planning, ideally, and that would change things a bit for her, but because the Terry skaters are so consistent, they're getting the components, whether or not they deserve them. And I'll be curious to see when they're up against each other, how is Trusova scored in components compared to Kostornaia, compared to Shcherbakova?
If it's fair, she should be considerably ahead. Kostornaia should.
But will they do it?
Yeah. Right.
Will they do it, and will the Federation have to push? And for one of the skaters, or let the judges just do what they may. I mean, there is so much buzz and so much focus on these skaters that I don't even think they have to push the judge. I don't think the Russian judges have to push for them because everyone is so laser focused on this unique situation. As Alena Vaitsehovskaya was saying, there's nothing like it. The competitiveness is so extreme. It's hard to...
And there may be nothing like it again. I know that this camp knows how to churn this out, and we've got all the juniors coming up, but I do think these three in particular will forever be remembered as this very unique time.
Absolutely. It's a unique situation. How is Zagitova going to skate? How is Bradie Tennell going to skate? Can Bradie...
Yeah, and I just want to clarify, because everyone always hates everything we say anyway, but to clarify about the Zagitova comments, I think what Zagitova is doing is, from NHK, things like that, the idea of should she continue isn't because she's skating so horribly. It's just a question of once you've achieved what Zagitova has achieved, do you accept fifth place at the Grand Prix final as enough? And she has been out. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. She's been surpassed technically, and that's just how this sport is right now. And she does everything she can, but there's a limitation to how far she can get now. And my question is, when you know that limitation, when you're shooting for fifth, unless everyone makes a mistake and you can somehow get higher, is that fulfilling enough for someone at that level? And I would think, for me personally, not that I've been in that exact situation, I may not feel the need to continue if I know, even at my finest, my results are going to be a ways out of medal contention.
Well, it has to impact her psychologically going into competition, such a psychological sport. And I think the things that we see is that she'll often practice better than she competes, which means that she can still physically do these elements. They might be harder for her, but going against that young gun who may have all the momentum and remind you of the way you were a few seasons ago, I think it can impact a lot of skaters when they go out there on the ice and they don't feel as confident or as secure or as optimistic about their chances. And I think over the next month, we're going to see a lot about Zagitova. I think we're either going to see a massive improvement or we're going to see a definitive moment. I think one way or the other, what she does at the next competitions will be definitive. And I think Bradie, is...
Get your world points.
Well, here's the thing about Bradie. Her job is not about placement here. It's really to go out and skate well at the top level against these girls. Because even if she's sixth...
to be in that six.
If she's sixth, but she skates well in one of the most competitive finals we've ever seen, there's no shame in that game. If you finish sixth, but you bomb, then there are questions, right? I think...
It reminds me a bit of that Adam Rippon year in the Olympic season when there was such a statement by him making the final.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had been so hopeful that because he was so clearly going to be sixth in that field, I hoped he just skated beautifully, had a nice moment, and called it a day. But he kind of missed that opportunity and really imploded.
Mm-hmm. You mean the year prior to the Olympics?
The season of. So it was like the Grand Prix final 2017.
The first year that it was in Spain, that he went in Madrid, or maybe it was the second year. The one year that he did the bird program for the first time, when he bombed, was the year that he landed the quad toe. That was, and he was sixth in the final. That was not the Olympic season. It was the pre-Olympic season, and then he got hurt for nationals when he didn't skate well there. And that...
Right.
So I think for Bradie, she's coming off of Poland, where I imagine she went for ISU points because she had to pull out of her senior beat earlier in the season.
And it was unfortunate because I was trying to figure out why on earth she was second, or, overall, it was fifth in the long, and it's because she tripped going into the combo.
Mm-hmm.
But just a fluke, total, tripped on the entrance, so just omitted all those points. And that was much more reassuring to me after I saw that was the case.
The thing about Bradie, the one thing that, if she skates well here, the one thing, I don't think Bradie's going for a medal at the Worlds by any stretch of the imagination. The one thing you have to remember is that there are 4 Russian ladies here, and there can only be 3 at Worlds. So even if she's sixth here, she could potentially look at maybe a 5th place finish at the Worlds. You look at Mariah Bell. Could she be 8th? Could they be 6th and 7th? That starts to be a more interesting conversation about the spots for the U.S. ladies and when they could actually need them in the future. So that is a more... They're both improving. And I think that that's a more interesting conversation, potentially. You look at them, by per country rules, they would be ranked 5th and 7th. That would get the U.S. 3 spots. And I think if she goes out and skates well, it'll help her confidence for nationals. It'll help her points along the way, her components. So a big learning experience for her. And she's been someone that can typically handle pressure. In one sense, there's really not a ton of pressure on her here because she isn't expected to medal. So I think just going out and doing her job would be...
Yeah, she's almost competing a nationals event against herself, right, this coming weekend. Because Mariah with the 2 bronzes, whatever they decide with Alyssa, she's jockeying to regain her national title too. So, it will be really interesting.
And I find it curious that Bradie was always listed as supposed to be competing this weekend. She was originally listed for Zagreb. Obviously, she withdrew from that, making the final. Mariah Bell has not been listed for Zagreb, and just Hannah Harrell was. So we won't even see the situation where they would have gone head-to-head, or they'll go, virtually head-to-head here. So to me, that's interesting that Mariah isn't competing this weekend, because perhaps she should before the Nationals. But she has been on a roll. Perhaps they don't want to... It's like when you have a great session and you're like, should I do one more and risk ending on a sour note, or should I just leave it?
No, exactly.
But it's good.
Yeah, leave on a positive note. Yeah.
So, because, let's face it. If Mariah Bell were competing at Zagreb, she would be competing against Bradie Tennell. That would be more pressure for both of them. And it would be very interesting to see that comparison in the judges' breakdown. I certainly would have loved to see it. I'm curious, Tutamisheva, third alternate here, going to Zagreb. What will she do? What elements? I think we're going to see something exciting from her this weekend. There's no reason not to do it.
Literally nothing to lose. Yeah.
And if she does it, Will she do 2 quads at the Nationals? I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, that's stamina-wise, that would be ridiculous. But
also, ladies skating Instagram-wise, I've always said one of my favorite ladies' triple axels was when we saw Wakova do her triple axel on the warm-up at the World Team Trophy that one year, and it was really exciting for me to see it back. Because, again, I think it's one of the finest out there, and the speed she had in that thing, like on that exit, it looked like she was going faster than she was going in. It's incredible.
Yeah, and she has had such a difficult go the last 18 months.
Yeah.
Since
I felt like Skate America maybe kind of told her I think it reignited something, even though she still had a rough and tumble kind of Grand Prix. I felt like maybe it gave her a bit more hope.
The optimism's there. Yeah.
Exactly, because Japan needs some excitement over there.
They do.
For their third lady, yeah.
But I don't think Japan is down forever, right? We see that they're down a little bit right now. Their ladies have had a slow fall, but I wouldn't count out Kaori. I wouldn't count out Wakaba. I wouldn't count out Rika. I mean, these are talented skaters and hungry, but maybe they're playing the long game. I don't know. Who knows? But I think...
they just seemed a little unfocused or unorganized, it seemed, on the Grand Prix this year.
I mean, it'll be tough for Bradie and Mariah to get those 3 spots, but I certainly think that they'll... Look, they're primed too. They're competitors, and they need to go out there and feel that confidence and attack. I do think that the pairs final is potentially game-changing for a lot of skaters here. Sui and Han, obviously the favorites to win, but they need to skate well too, because I think the situation in Russia has changed so rapidly. For Boykova and Kozlovsky, they went from being the team that could maybe be first in Russia to being the second-ranked team on the Grand Prix, going in here.
And if something very strange happens, they could take this.
Their components have been rising.
Right.
And they have a genius coach in Tamara Moskvina, who is very well liked. And though I don't think their skating is on the level of Sui and Han's, without anyone doing quad twists and quad throws, Sui and Han have to land their elements. I mean, obviously they have a huge advantage, but I don't know if the Russians are wanting to beat them, or do you just want to try to get close to them, or try to see how close you can get and how much of that lead you can knock off. This seems to be a team that's playing the long game, and then you start to have to think, all right, well, if they improve now, what elements will they be trying for the Olympics? Well, all of a sudden we see quads back, right? Like what kind of political shenanigans, everything will start happening. You have Sui and Han not doing the quads. Will Boykova and Kozlovsky start going for them? Right? Like, what would be their end game? I think
the depth in Russian pairs, because out of all these Russian pairs here, we don't even have Trusova and Morozov.
Do you think not making it will discourage them, or will light a fire?
I don't know that anything can really snap them in or out of it.
It's hard
just
to
don't
know.
understand
right?
them.
Like, what is the rock bottom, right? Because it seems like they've been so close that there have been a million times that they should have hit rock bottom, gotten it.
It's ridiculous they're not. I mean, based on talent and substance alone, it's absurd that they couldn't organize themselves to just be here, because their quality is such and their potential is such that they should be second at the Grand Prix final, in my opinion, but they're not getting it together. But the depth behind them, they're going to get surpassed if they don't get it together.
And is it the Russian Federation as a whole that is making the decision to get behind Boykova and Kozlovsky, because they are not the most beautiful pair? They are not. They don't have the natural gifts of Taras and Morozov, but they can certainly compete a heck of a lot better. Right. And that consistency is being rewarded, and their components have been rising, and it makes you wonder, is all of Russia jockeying for them? Is it just Moskvina against Nina Mosier and Marina Zueva? Is there just nothing that Marina and Nina can even do?
Anymore for them? Yeah.
So I think, again, this is a huge weekend for them. They're going to go out. They're going to set themselves up. Look, if they have 4 solid skates like they've been skating I think we'll see them be the Russian champions this year.
Yeah.
And I would love to see Tarasa Morozov step it up. It would make things very exciting because they're really the team that can compete with the Chinese if they put it all together. But
if, and it's a big if.
The one thing is that they have perhaps even better lines than the Chinese team, but they don't have that intangible heart, as you will, that magic. Yeah. And I don't know that anything can give you that magic. It's that je ne sais quoi. It's that Michelle Kwan skating the winter exhibition. Like, what is it? Can you teach it? Yeah. Can you develop it?
You cannot teach it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, the Russians, because of their size, everything seems to matter more in the individual elements. They can be so effective, but you got to do it. So. And
then, Peng and Jin have gotten through 2 Grand Prix seasons doing one set of side-by-side triple jumps in their free skate. Will they stick with that? Will they go for the second set? And if they don't...
I think they're here because of fortunate circumstances based on errors of others, and particularly weak fields they were in. I don't see this...
The judges love their skating, right?
Yeah, and it's easy to love, but I think in this field they might just get left behind, technically.
Here's the thing. I think that Kirsten Moortowers and Michael Marinaro are on the upswing. They are skating well. They have great programs, especially the free skate, in this field. I don't think they have the same GOE that Peng and Jin do overall, but Peng and Jin are not without error. And it'll be an interesting showdown. I think Kirsten and Michael, it's a chance to really look back at, a do-over. Competing in these pressure situations for continents, worlds, especially worlds when they did not skate well. This is a chance to really right that ship. They seem to have been improving throughout the fall, and I think now is the time that they need to deliver. I think more than a medal, they need 2 great skates here to really learn how to do, and then the results will take care of themselves eventually, but they have to skate well as a team, get their levels, land everything, and believe in themselves. I think... to really light that fire. Do you think it would be better for them to medal here or to be 4th, but feel they have potential?
I think, again, the overall image I have of them is an up and down thing. So going clean here just is one more move in solidifying, they're in a top group, they're in the final 6 at Worlds, or, all that sort of stuff. And the kind of steadiness they showed on the Grand Prix shows that they're consistent. They weren't eking out these victories or these medals and these landings and stuff. You do feel like the general base level for them is rising with the consistency. So we'll see. I mean, again, aesthetically, I think they're going to stick out like a sore thumb compared to some of the other programs here.
Oh, no. Jonathan, no.
No. But I mean, it's their own. They are so their own thing. They are bringing that
But stick out like a sore thumb has a negative connotation. I think. Wait a second.
Okay.
I have to wait a sec. Wait. Boykova and Kozlovsky, not the most beautiful pair. Adequate.
No, but interesting. I always am interested in watching them.
Well, because we like their coach, but. Mishina Galyamov.
Because the coach is doing funky lifts and stuff like that. Yeah.
Mishina and Galyamov, not the best skating skills. Pavlyuchenko and Koidikin, the Tron program. You think Moortowers and Marinello are going to stick out like a sore thumb? I mean, that is hideous.
Well, okay.
So,
but they're going to be the only ones skating in that style. You're right. Sore thumb has more of a negative connotation, but because we've got these 2 Lori Nichols Chinese aesthetics, we've got this Russian quirky aesthetic, and then we're going to have this North American love ballad aesthetic. And I will be intrigued where the judges go with that. If they're
I don't think they'll
how you were talking about European skaters thought the American spiral on the climax of the music, they were dismissive of that. This could seem, I'll be interested where the components, where this judging panel will put everybody. Because they're really going to be the only sort of program like that.
I think for them, skating clean and being 4th would be great. I think skating, great, and being third.
Clean is more important than the medal. I agree with you.
Clean is more important here because if you get into the medals, then you could get into all sorts of head games. Are they third, and then thinking that they're going to be third at World? Getting in all sorts of shenanigans that can happen. I think the important thing is to skate well here and to
solidify that they belong in the top group, not necessarily a certain placement within it. Totally.
Yes.
Totally.
And if they're going to have that natural performance that's not as good as the others, have it at the Nationals instead of here, because they'll get a lot of help at the Nationals if they do well.
Right.
So.
Right. Totally.
Yeah. And then at the dance event, look, the Russians are jockeying to get close to Papadakis and Cizeron, but Papadakis and Cizeron had a fantastic performance and the fantastic judging for them at the NHK. So I think we know that they'll be 1-2 in that order. What will they both score? That's certainly interesting. Will they all deserve to score? But honestly, the excitement in ice dance is who's going to get that bronze. And I could see it going any 4 ways.
Any way. Yeah.
Have Hubbell and Donohue made big changes to their... We saw them with on-ice perspectives. We don't know... Did they change
what that was?
Did they change one program, both programs, just the choreography, just the music? What is going on there?
Yeah. Well, even though it wasn't necessarily my favorite program, I think Hubbell and Donohue will still have the edge in the rhythm dance a little bit. It's Chalk and Bates can really make a lot of movement in that free dance. Mm-hmm. That will be interesting. It could play second. The free dance could, but they might be behind in the rhythm dance or something.
They could be last in the rhythm dance, and then who knows?
And then be second in the free dance, and then we'll never know. I don't know if you had to take a guess.
I think Canada's going to go hard for Piper and Paul.
Yeah, but Piper and Paul, it's interesting. Yeah, they're going to do it on the free dance also. I think they could. If there is judging shenanigans, they could get buried in the rhythm dance. Both Chalk and Bates and Piper and Paul.
Any of these teams get buried in the rhythm dance because they can always... That's, I think, where we see a lot of mistakes.
Right.
But I imagine Piper and Paul, Hubbell and Donohue, that could be very close. It perhaps a year ago would not have been as close, but given the unsteady programs, the reception, the changing of feeling about the teams, I would think that Piper and Paul have had 2 years of really positive reactions from judges and fans, and Hubbell and Donohue have been on the opposite end of that, and I think it's an interesting chance. It's an important competition for all of the teams here, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas
I see Stepanova and Buchan maybe being kind of out of that mix for the bronze, though. Yeah, I enjoy them, and they have qualities and they have limitations also, but I sort of see them as 6, and I see 1, 2, and I'm curious 3, 4, 5.
Does Russia see it that way? Will Russia make a push for them? Right? Because look, the thing is that there could be a North American / allies disparity going on between Piper and Paul, Hubbell and Donohue, and Madison and Evan. Right?
Right.
And if there's a 3-way split, could the Russians sneak in there?
Accidentally, yeah.
Right? Crazier things have happened. And it's that's an interesting thing, because is everyone going to be on board? It doesn't seem like there's a clear favorite in the U.S. You got a lot of opinions going on, so...
Right.
I'm excited.
I think it's interesting. To me, the showdown will be between Piper and Paul's free dance and Evan and Madison's free dance. That's why I kind of see it.
And Hubbell and Donohue. Yeah. We don't know.
Yeah.
Look, they still have the biggest skating at the end of the day. They've also...
Totally.
That is their X factor, but the programs, when we saw them at Skate America, I just was so underwhelmed. But
you saw power, and then that was kind of the most you could score them was for that. Yeah. So,
but I'm ready for it to come. I'm excited. I
know that will be a very exciting shakedown.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think? What are your predictions for the Grand Prix final? We are so curious. What do you make of Alexei Yagudin's comments? Does this change how you view Alexei Yagudin as the Olympic champion skater? And what do you think it all means?
And how excited were you at Elizabeta's quad? I loved it so much.
I was so excited for Elizabeta's quad. Trusova's triple axel, I have to say. I was like, this is a Katarina Witt level competitor. This is like Katarina Witt is on Instagram. It's like, it was as though another skater in, like, were competing and finally had their moment. And Katarina was like, yeah, and I can still do that triple loop. Right? Like, it just had that. It had that same level of moxie and competitiveness and like Slutskaya.
But speaking of Katarina's moxie, because she's doing that that German show right now.
Yes.
That German ice skating reality show. And she has been, I guess, giving some real zingers.
And apparently she laughs at the contestants when they're awful.
And told someone, you know, I'm paraphrasing, that, like, the way he looks out of his shirt, he should stick with that. Oh, sorry, there's just random housekeeping staff screaming in the background.
There are worse things to have someone say to you. If I looked good shirtless but wasn't a good skater, I would take it. Okay?
Yeah, take the compliment. Take the compliment.
Well, we want to know, would you take the compliment? What are you thinking about all of these matchups? What are you most excited about? Who do you give the advantage to in the ladies, in the junior ladies, in the pairs, the ice dance, Hanyu versus Nathan Chen? What do you make of it all? Are people going to peak for the Grand Prix final, or is it more important to peak for World? So hold an edge, look sexy, and leave your comments below. Bye, guys. So, Jonathan, we forgot to talk about Diana Stellato in Canada at this Skate Canada Challenge. I was trying to focus. I'm really tired.
Dina of the Great North, yes.
Yes, Dina, as they called her in Canada.
Yes, Stellato.
This is the one time we really needed a kiss and cry microphone. And Canada needs to
know what it is? I think Deanna just needs like a mic lapel, like a lapel mic at all times. That's what it really is.
What? The coaches here, okay. Every skater in the U.S. is fancy. They get dressed up for sectionals, and if they don't, we judge them, right? I was posting those 97 nationals. Carol Heiss was dressed like it was
the bun.
The bun, like it was a piano recital or a Christmas soiree. Like, she was looking like a million bucks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Deanna and oh my god, I'm forgetting. And Maxime, his coach. You know, looked like he was about to go dressed to go put up the Christmas lights. I mean, you know, this is the point. Deanna was told to go blonde by the USFS packaging guru to reinvent herself, and I have to say that I think that was a bad decision.
That was, I mean, what on earth? Yeah.
I said change it back, okay? I don't like it. I didn't like the hair being curled either. These are important things, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
If I'm going to stay up and watch you until midnight on a Friday.
Be your most authentic self. Yeah.
I don't like it. I want you dressed like you were in that Whitney Houston program, but with a better dress. Okay.
Or maybe she should wear like a Barbra Streisand wig to go with the short program.
I will say, their twist, so big, Jonathan thought it was a double. Okay?
We had to go back and watch it, but the height was tremendous on it. It was like, especially for a new pair, like, because that's where you normally see things go a little awry. And
she's very salty about Jim.
Lovely.
And, you know, that Tara and Danny have never had that big twist. And, you know, she wanted it. You know, she wants...
Yeah.
Apparently she was messaging Alena about working with her when Alexa and Chris were there. I mean, she is on it, okay? She's going to compete until she's 55, and she wants the big Alena moves, okay? And
she's beating Zoe Jones, and that's the only other person in her age group. So
bless her, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Granted, this music, sleepy in the free skate. I know they're a first-year team. Just put on the Celine Dion, Deanna, okay? Give us the old school 90s skater realness. In the first go-round of doing this, you were talking about how she presents herself like a 6'0 skater. Come on, Celine, we could do the new song, we could do the old song. It doesn't matter. No one's paying attention to any of this la-da-da music that you're skating to. Just put on some Celine and mouth the words, okay?
Exactly.
You're as old as Zoe Jones, and make us all celebrate it, okay?
That's right.
You're a queen, an icon, and a legend, all right?
And the short program was really exciting.
It was.
I felt like there was great promise in the throw, and the side-by-sides went well. Obviously, things went awry for her in the free skate, and I felt like it became collective. It spiraled a bit.
Do you think that she was sending a love note to Jim by doing the Barbra Streisand music? You know, because she had that remix of Barbra last year, and then there was Barbra this year. And you know what I thought is that Canadians are so flippin', like passive-aggressive about Americans. Why would you remind them that you're American with New York state of mind when you're in Canada?
I know. Maybe that's why.
I'd be bringing out the Edith Piaf. I'd be like fake French like you wouldn't believe, okay? We'd be doing an omelette free. An omelette free.
Say to Anne Murray, be Canadian.
I would be so Canadian. March with me. We'd be doing the Born and Grass programs, okay? Right. River Dance, okay? We'd be so flippin' Canadian. Okay?
An entire homage. Skate to Liz Manley's music.
Oh, yes. So the short was great. I did notice, because I was, I live commentated it for Instagram. What I love about Pair Girls, every single one who you would wonder if they watched did. Every single one. I was looking at that. Very curious. Pair Girls are competitive. Okay?
Yeah.
All of them.
They should be.
U.S.
What makes them so special?
Canada. I mean, I don't think Swee's on Instagram watching it, but...
or would bother, but...
All of them. Okay? They were watching that. Okay?
Well, wouldn't you be curious? Yeah, totally.
But I found that it was interesting that it was the Pair Girls that were doing it. Not the boys.
Of course. Well, because that's who we're interested in seeing as they switch techniques, partners. You really begin to see some things where are certain possibilities that weren't technically available to her before. Like that twist.
Yeah. Jim was watching it. Oh, yes. So, very...
Unfortunately, the free was a bit of a bust here.
The free was a mess.
They want to get in front of that.
Well,
really just from her, maybe.
It honestly... So, Jenny and I were just commenting on her program at Easterns, at the 99 Eastern Sectionals, and when she was a junior lady, and she made a mistake on her triple lutz early in the program, and being a new junior, she tried extra hard on the rest of her jumps, and she missed each one, and it was so similar to Deanna's mistake here, where she missed...
20 years later. Yeah.
20 years later. Deanna was novice then, and 20 years later, literally, and she looked like she made a mistake on the first one and tried extra hard on every pull into the left and over pulling.
Hard to trust and let in that moment when you kind of needed to do it most. Yeah.
They say that people either speed up or slow down under pressure, and usually you tend to do the same thing each time, although... I have had moments where I felt like I was ahead of my music, and then I had times that I felt slow. Usually when you're too nervous, maybe you're slower and cautious, and if you're aggressive and amped up, you're skating faster than ever. And I have had that happen. So, and you have to adjust your body, and it looked like she was pulling hard. Who knows if she was tired and overcompensating or whatever, nervous and overcompensating? Who knows? It just looked like...
They look like clumsy, not normal things. So I'll be intrigued.
It was a messy new pair performance.
Yeah.
It's certainly something that you want to... look, there's not only the sense of placement, they have funding, show opportunities, everything to pay for this thing. You medal at Canadian Nationals as a first-year team. You can be invited to all the club shows to skate. This is very important for a team like this.
And that bronze medal is kind of a question at Canadian Nationals at the moment. I think we got 1 and 2 pretty clearly locked up, but I think there are several teams, again, like we're talking about in the Grand Prix final, even for the dance or something. I think this 3, 4, 5 could be very interesting how this goes down at Nationals.
I felt like she wasn't giving us as much Deanna drama as we wanted in the Kiss and Cry. She just kept talking about, her left side, but we really needed to hear the tone of her voice. She looked like she was okay.
Yeah, it's because, like I mentioned, if she was used to the partner kind of flubbing, and this time he did everything he was supposed to, and it was on her.
He does kind of look like
go in and... a little bit leaner, taller.
Michael Shanley says that it's as if they, like, leaned Nate out and got him to land his jumps. That's good.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But it's very simple.
Yeah.
A little bit better skating skills, and
Which is what she was looking for.
I guess so. I don't know if we know much about Maxim Deschamps, but perhaps we'll get to know him. Who knows? Hopefully they don't talk over him at Canadian Nationals. This is not the moment for Tracy and Rod to be talking a lot. I want either, if it's good or bad, we want to hear what she's saying, right?
Yes, with surtitles. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We need it. Oh, yes. Hopefully she'll be, I don't know. But the music is a miss for me in both programs, but first year team.
But probably hard to find what's going to work for them. I mean, it was interesting. How do you find their speed? Is that something that is just like a new team thing that maybe they were a bit slower than they'll end up being eventually?
Well, remember, Donohue thought she and Nate were slow, so that was...
Well, yeah, because I was just noticing, again, a bit more in the free. There were just some moments. But again, if the energy was a little off...
When you fall that many times and you are sucking wind, it is... it slows
takes some time.
Down, okay?
Yeah. Fair enough.
The fall cuts the speed, right? So
okay, I see. Fair enough. Yeah. Okay.
When you fall 3 times, it really cuts the speed. But the twist was huge. The lifts, not as special. I would say that Jim really does teach a good lift, and I don't think that these... do you think these are first-year lifts?
I just felt like, especially a skater of her refinement, will eventually hit, especially in the first 2 lifts, a bit more of an elegant position.
Oh. I think Deanna will be listening to you talking about her.
No, stop. No, because I like her. I just felt like...
You don't like her. You don't like her. You're going to have a lot of these pair girls coming for you, Jonathan. You have got to pick one to get behind, okay?
Okay, sweet. I'm like, here. I can't...
Only sweet, but all the ones in North America, I don't know, they're all going to be coming for you, okay? Each one is scary.
Okay. Right? Get in line.
You're going to need more faith than just an Alexa bag pretty soon, okay? Let me tell you. You keep pissing off those broads. You got to listen, all right? Okay. You got more than just Julie Marcotte coming after you. You're always like, I love Kirsten Moore Towers. Well, let me tell you, okay?
Yeah.
See how you feel about that, okay?
So brave. No, I'm just kidding.
You got to pick one. Tara Kane, I'm sure she loves you. So.
I'm sure.
Well, we want to know, what did you make of the Skate Canada Challenge? Also, Isabelle Brasseur had the craziest saves on her throws ever. I was like, girl, you might like slice those shins, but parabens to you for saving those throws.
But she'll look good doing it. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Evelyn and Trent, mismatch blues, not looking good. Still looking rough around the edges.
Or the same.
The whole vibe to me was mismatch blues of their skating, but they did get the job done overall. Had some help, but look, I mean, we'll see what happens at Canadian Nationals, because that was...
It could be very interesting, depending on how this next month goes,
Just want to know, what did you make of everything? What are you excited about in Canada? Are you ready for some Deanna Kiss and Cry action? Hold it, Edge, and look sexy. Bye, guys.